Welcome back to the GSTL. It's time for Avenge to face up against Boom Boom here. StarTale up now 2-1. 2 wins to go. And two famous people sitting next to each other. Two other famous people sitting next to each other. And a very nervous guy on the left.
Yeah, Symbol also sitting like in the middle of that bench on Team AZUBU and probably thinking about how this game is going today. I don't think that he really likes it. Pet, on the other hand, looks like lightning just struck him a second ago. A little bit dumbfounded there, but he was doing a really good job in this game. Won the series earlier and brought StarTale in the lead. Now it's all up on Avenge though. Avenge, the one who goes up against Boom Boom, a former Prime player here who left the team a long time ago and is now a part of Team AZUBU. Did a really good job against Trap just recently, a specialist in the PvZ. But what can he do now against Avenge, who himself is a pretty strong player in this matchup?
Yeah. That's the question here. I think that like Boom Boom definitely has a really strong chance here. He's never one to be underestimated, especially in the team league. When in the past, when you saw Boom Boom in the individual league, sometimes some of his ZBZs were incredible. Sometimes he pulled out that amazing match that you didn't expect from him. But these days, it's more about the team league for him, where he has his success. Which is the opposite of Avenge, where, I mean, he does decent in Team League, but you think about him as being a good player that you see in the individual league.
Avenge is getting so much stronger these days, even though he missed going up to the Premier League once again. He always is faced in the last round again up against a really strong player like Flash or SOS now. So we're going into this match, and this is game number 4 between StarTale and AZUBU. Currently, StarTale is in the lead with the 2-1, which means if Avenge is punching out another victory against Boom Boom, they would only need one additional map to win this team match today. That would be really great for them. The Relic Watcher is going to be the map here, apparently, so let's jump into the game right away and see who's able to take it. Avenge versus Boom Boom at the GSTL, StarTale versus AZUBU. Colored Wolf. To the top right of the map, in red, we have the StarTale player sending a probe out early on in the game. It is
StarTale, Avenge.
Pylon on the low ground. Something that we don't see that often anymore, but he's going for a more traditional build against his Zerg opponent. Starting to the bottom left, we have the guy with the farting noises for Team of AZUBU.
AZUBU Boom Boom.
I feel like this pylon placement is very neoclassic.
One of the things that's important to note here is that Avenge and Boom Boom faced off against each other in the first part of this season already, and back then in the best of one, Avenge was able to win the game. Avenge is actually a really strong player in the Protoss vs Zerg. He has 25 maps played, he has a 64% win ratio, which is really crazy. 16-9, that's currently his record in Protoss vs Zerg, taking down opponents like Leenock, Haiva, Hyun, Symbol. And it's just incredible to just see the run that this kid had. He is getting so much better in this game, and he's definitely one of those contenders that eventually we will see in the Premier League. Boom Boom, on the other hand, in Heart of the Swarm, he has only 8 maps played against Protoss, and he won 4 of them, which leaves him with a 50% win ratio. But the important part is that his last match was against Trap, who himself is just incredibly good at the Protoss vs Zerg, and Boom Boom won that game. But I feel that Avenge, of course, watched this match, and since Avenge himself has already experienced going up against Boom Boom, I would still favor him a little bit over the Zerg player for AZUBU. Avenge is a little bit like Garfield. I mean, he wins and he always gets... but he's always hungry. He always wants more.
Yeah. The thing is, Boom Boom is like that too, except that he doesn't always win, but he's always hungry.
Yeah.
There's Santa again. This, I said neoclassic before, but this almost feels more postmodern. The build that he's going for here.
It's a very traditional style that we see there, and the Overlord is already on the way and is going to find out exactly that happens, and Boom is probably going to be, oh, kind of interesting, alright. He himself started his hatch, of course, after he went for the pool, so he went into the pool first build instead of going for a hatch first. The clean is already started, and the Zerglings, of course, on the map already causing some trouble here. The third base coming up, and it has been spotted. The timing here pretty normal for going up against the Forge build at 4 minutes. If you would have scouted a gateway first, you would have delayed that for another 1.5 minutes.
Yeah, and he's pretty happy with this. I mean, he doesn't need speed early. to the field to get the space to defend against any pressure. That's going to be fine. Double gas here.
This is a pretty crucial match for AZUBU now. The reason being is that the next match is going to be Ragnarok versus Curious. And Curious is pretty decent in the ZVZ, whereas we haven't seen too much of Ragnarok yet. Not a bad player by any means, but less experienced than Curious. And it's going to be very difficult for AZUBU just to win both games in a row. Not only the match between the two Zerg players, but then later on also Symbol versus Bomber, where of course Symbol has definitely a good chance against the StarTale Terran player, but still, AZUBU would be in a very uncomfortable position if Boom Boom loses this match now.
Yeah. Keep in mind that AZUBU is 3-0 against StarTale right now in Team League matches. And StarTale wants to change that today. Those Zerglings, I don't know what they're doing, but there's nothing for them in that little cube there, that little sphere. That's not for Zerg. Get away from their Zerglings. There's nothing useful there. You're much better off just seeing if +1 is being researched. I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, looking a little bit awkward there. Here we have the Stargate now coming up for Avenge. And Avenge is kind of one of those players who has shown us a lot of 2-base timings, actually. He has the tendency to be very aggressive in this matchup and to barrel down his own opponent's third and take it out. Really good timings that we've seen in the past, but he has shown several times also that he can go into a macro game. But in general, he's definitely a player where you have to be quite careful. He loves to go for a couple of Void Rays and just attack you on 2-base timing, have a Void Ray there to just back the rest of his army up. So over-droning can be a huge mistake, and Boom Boom is droning up quite heavily, going into additional 3 gas and also the Road Drone, which will help him a lot going up against gateway aggression. But for Avenge, it's going to be quite interesting to see how he's going to play this right now.
Yeah. Not +1 Phoenix is actually going to say, which doesn't make any sense, but there's +1 Phoenix to the map, as no +1 is being researched. So he's going Phoenixes here, similar to what we saw earlier. But, you know, it's not the fastest Phoenixes you could get. It's not the Phoenixes you get off of a gateway expand. It's a little bit delayed here. Roachborn is done. First Overlord going to go down. On this map, you could take a third base relatively easily, so I expect to see Avenge with his Phoenixes actually take a little bit of map control and take a fast third, get a wall up.
And there's, as expected, already that Void Ray. The Void Ray, of course, also helping him against aggressive builds from Zerg players. Like, a few Zergs will still go for this Roach aggression in the early game, and then if you have that Void Ray that is just hovering on top of your wall, you can get a lot of value out of that and make sure that your wall doesn't go down. Yeah, the Roaches are getting a lot of damage from those. But he's transitioning straight into his own robotics right now, and he's getting that third base. Getting it pretty early in the game, considering that he doesn't really have a huge amount of sentries. A lot of Protoss players will try to be a little bit more careful with that, getting a lot of sentries onto the map. But with the additional Void Ray, he can do a lot. And he's actually poking a little bit. Not only to force those Zerglings back, but also to make Boom Boom a little bit wary about what's going on here.
Yeah, he's making some extra attacking units rather than drones. Phoenix is actually going to fly right over 3 queens. Be careful about that. 4th queen there as well. He should get away. So that's scary. He doesn't want to waste any of that. He makes a second Void Ray here. So I'm going to actually be going into a Void Ray composition as he takes his third.
Yeah, the right time to build a Void Ray is always now.
Yes.
Not quite.
That's actually like... That's like the best quote I've ever heard. The best time to make a Void Ray is now.
It's not always true, guys, so don't start building Void Rays in the early game.
Don't charge your Void Rays on Zerglings.
Yeah. But, yeah, Void Ray is definitely quite strong in the matchup, and a lot of Zerg players weren't too happy about that. The cannon is done. He might be able to save that Nexus. He needs to lift Zerglings on the other hand, and that's what he's doing here. He lets it finish. He's confident in his abilities to save it, and he pulls it off. He kills all of the Zerglings, and 290 hit points remain.
That was actually a huge hit to Boom Boom's army and his larva. That was you know, I would have done the same thing, though. It's hard to know what's coming up next, if you're going to be able to kill Nexus or not. I think it was reasonable for him to try it. 1 gateway only right now, by the way, for Avenge. He's adding, I think, his 5th gateway. He just has a bunch of gateways in gateway mode instead of warp gate research. But even getting the Mothership Core now, which would have helped him there as well had he had it out. Spire coming up here, and Boom Boom has a lot of gas. Going Corruptors, though, is not going to be... it's not going to be too Void Ray friendly.
He liked to go into a huge amount of Mutalisks. This is one of the things that we saw him do. And that now we have a double Stargate production. And take a wild guess what they're going to be for.
Well, I would say Void Rays unless he scouts Phoenixes, in which case that'll be for... or unless he scouts Mutas. If he scouts Phoenixes, he'll actually have to pause the game and call a ref, because that doesn't make any sense. But
he's going to go for the Trollolo strategy and suddenly starts 3 carriers. Not likely. Void Rays it's going to be, and Void Rays are pretty scary in this matchup, which has been showcased by several Protoss players in the past. One of the things that you can do is rely on the Infestation Pit on Infestors, of course. The +1 attack upgrade has already been started, and he is not starting any units just yet, but he could head into Mutalisk if he wants to. It depends a lot on what he scouts now. For him, this is one of those scenarios where he wants to find out what exactly is going on before he makes his choice.
Yeah.
And he's actually droning up. He's droning up and trying to saturate the 4th base first. He still has that bang, and it gives him a lot of flexibility.
These Zealots are going to try to put an end to that 4th base to the south for Boom Boom. Yeah. And he's going to have a pretty good chance of doing so, although it looks like him not being spotted, the pylon being spotted on the other hand.
He has a big problem on his hand now. He's going into tech into Hive. But the problem is really that with 3 Stargates already there, the transition into Phoenixes, if they're Mutalisk, is so fast, and the Void Rays alone are already doing damage.
Uh-oh. In the middle of the map, actually, does he have enough? It looks like with 2 Colossi and the Force Fields, Boom Boom says, I'm not going to mess with this. He could have tried to engage it. There's not a lot of Protoss there, but he's a little bit concerned about what's going on. The Mutalisk switch is definitely imminent, I feel. I mean, he's saving a ton of resources here, and I don't have the production tab, but I'm guessing we're going to see Mutas on the way. If we do, in fact, see that, something just got made. And, yep, 12 Mutas. So, Hive Tech on the way too, halfway done.
I feel he's actually walking right into a trap. The question is now, when does Avenge scout it? Because if Avenge scouts that, with 3 bases that he has the resources to start triple Phoenix production. And as soon as that happens, especially with the Fleet Beacon now done and a range upgrade available to him, he can just take those Mutas apart with a range upgrade for the Phoenixes. So if he scouts that, there's a lot of trouble brewing. But Boom Boom isn't done just yet. I mean, he's going for the Nexus again, and this time he's going to get it.
He gets it for sure. This is actually a great opportunity. He's now going to be able to force a cancel on the 4th base. Not even close, man.
Oh, but on the other hand, he's going to trade for a base at the bottom left.
But I think he's going to be okay with that trade, is because his music went to the main. He doesn't actually go for the 4th base. There's only 1 cannon here. Second cannon finishes up here, but he doesn't have any Phoenixes nearby.
He doesn't have any Phoenix nearby, and he needs them fast. He's going to start them in just a few seconds. The triple Phoenix production should happen. Now he has a few Phoenixes over there. He's going to needs to get the rest over, but there are a lot of Mutals already. And as I said earlier, the crucial thing is the scouting, and he did not scout it. 2 pylons protect those Stargates. He goes in with a Void Rays. He needs to use the Void Rays and the Phoenixes to protect them, but both of the pylons are gone.
Both of the pylons are gone here, and he's remaking those. The Corruptors actually want to stay far away. Anion Pulse Crystals has not been researched. The 4th base is canceled at the last second here. So it's 3 base against 3 base though, and with 9 Void Rays, you basically can't go wrong. He just needs a few more Phoenixes out.
Yeah, it's basically 2 base versus 3 base since he doesn't have that 3rd up again. He just restarted it. The problem for him really being that he needs to get the Phoenix production going. He did not scout what was going on, and if you're blindsided by a switch into Mutalisk, that's always a huge problem for a Protoss player. He had already air units, but now he's getting the right upgrades. He's getting the +1 attack upgrade for his air units. The Void Rays are going to be so much stronger. But what can he do against those Zerglings that are just running over into the 3rd base? Well, the Mutals are just waiting for his army to move down so that they can enter the main again.
Yeah, well, these Lings actually do force a cancel based on lose all of them. But he's okay with that.
Well, there we go. Void Rays, as it turns out, are not too shabby against Mutalisks either.
Yeah, it depends on the numbers.
Yeah, not the best unit that you want to have there, but still. And look how Boom Boom plays this. This is so smart. He's expanding all over the place now. He knows that with the Mutalisk, he is dominating the map. He has the map control, and he can just bounce between the bases. Spreading his bases out makes a lot of sense for him.
More Phoenixes popping out here. 3 more. Akalon Waste is a great map, but Anion Pulse Crystals is the upgrade that's coming out here. And with that, he will actually be able to counter the Mutalisk quite well. The thing is, the deal with the Mutas with this is you have to bring Corruptors, deal with the Phoenixes. But with all these Void Rays, it all comes down to the control. But if you're the Prost, you're the one who has to be controlling better, which means that Boom Boom having all these bases hidden on the map is actually giving them a pretty nice advantage.
The tech in general, I like it a lot what Avenge has. The problem is really the income. Avenge's income is just so low. This 3rd base being sniped was such a big blow to his economy, and that gives Boom Boom an edge. He has 28 Mutalisks already and is getting even more and more. We have an increasing number of Phoenixes on the other hand, and once Avenge gets a crucial number there, he should be able to nearly eliminate all of those Phoenixes. It's just a matter whether he can get rid of those Corruptors.
Yeah. it's all about the Void Rays, and it's hard to keep the Void Rays with the Phoenixes when the Phoenixes go this fast.
It's just the Zerglings that Boom Boom has on the map. He's not relying solely on Mutalisks. He also has those Lings that are always just poised to attack that third.
Yeah. Real nice stabilization here, on the other hand, from Avenge. We will have to deal with Boom Boom's bases, but he deals with one satellite base, the one to the south. And, you know, he doesn't have a lot of attack upgrade for those Zealots. I think he's only a +2, so the base will survive for now. Maybe even get a transfuse.
But he's pulling the pressure moves out there, and he also scouts the base to the top left, and he sees that there aren't any harvesters. He kills the one drone that's there. So these are a lot of good moves by Avenge, but he's still in a very peculiar position right now. He knows that he has to be very careful, and the third is going to be attacked again. But so many Phoenixes are moving in. 14, he has 14 already. But there's the snipe. Here come the Void Rays. There are the Phoenixes.
Yep, but he has to have them all together.
He's trying to cut him off.
The Void Rays do not follow. That was unfortunate to lose it.
He was a good boy.
No. Except not bringing his Void Rays. Had he been a really, really good boy at the top of the good list, he would have actually brought them.
That's the one thing that Void Rays fortunately can't do. They are not that fast. If they would be as fast as Phoenixes, I think no Zerg player would actually engage their problem.
One James Bond Infestor comes in for the grab.
Yeah, he gets grabbed himself, lifted and attacked. Boom Boom, on the other hand, now with the saturated 4th and 5th base. And this is when Avenge really has to do something, and he knows it. He's starting to move out here. And to be quite frank with you, in terms of army supply, he's not looking too bad. It's just like the defense of the third that's going to be an issue. He could go in and maybe just recall back with a Mothership Core if need be.
That's what I'd like to see him do, or maybe even just while he's doing something like this, bring Void Rays over to snipe that hatchery at the bottom. If Mutas ever come nearby, you just recall back and repeat the process until he can actually just keep himself up a base on the Zerg.
Starting to lift Zerglings just because he can. He has so much energy. Starts and cancels. Those things, they are not going to do too much. You have Force Field moving in, and there is way too many Colossi. If few lucky ones survive...
He's instantly remaxing with better units, on the other hand, using that bank. And I don't know what he's remaxing with, because for some reason we have the unit tab open again, but here we go.
That's not what he wants. He does not want to go up against those Phoenixes. This is a little bit like them playing cat and mouse. We have the Phoenixes always trying to chase down the Mutalisks. They don't want to go up against the Corruptors. The Void Rays are not fast enough to really keep track with both unit types. And Boom Boom is just trying to run circles around Avenge, keep him low in economy and make sure that he himself expands. So this is both of them just going for a lot of evasive maneuvers and trying to force only the battles that they are sure they can win.
I was thinking about Flux Veins. Because you were talking about Void Rays being slow. Seems like Blizzard thought so too, back in the early stages of the beta. Well,
they're rather slow.
They are kind of slow. Dark Shrine can be rather quick, especially with the cost reduction on Heart of the Swarm.
The nightmare of every Zerg player is David Kim announcing that they have a new balance patch and that they think that after the great success that Medivacs had with the Afterburners, they gave the upgrades to the Void Rays too.
Yeah.
That's like when every Zerg player wakes up in the middle of the night and he's dripping with sweat and he's just sort of like, no!
What if they gave it to Corruptors too, though? That'd be crazy. Go and fly and snipe
Speed Corruptors, do you know what they do? They die a lot faster than they die now.
Well, I mean, you know what? They could kill Medivacs. They could kill some Colossi.
This
is a cool split recall.
Oh, but the problem is that now the base here is exposed as he thinks, and as we have the Phoenixes still remaining, as you said, we have now the Mutalisks in a position where they say, well, maybe that doesn't work. Oh, look at that fungal attempt. Look at this
ingenuity here by Boom Boom. He actually keeps the Infestors right nearby. Yeah. There's nothing the Phoenixes can do without losing all of them.
Well, he dodged the fungal, actually. The fungal came in and he just barely dodged it. Now we have the +3 attack upgrade. It started for the air units. Oh, but here we have the attack. And the Void Rays doing their damage already. The Lings are moving in. Where are those Mutalisks? They're still trying to go for that third base.
He needs to target the hatchery. And that's not enough DPS there to defend that base. A few Zealots come in here. That's not going to be enough either. He's got to be very careful how he engages against the Infestors, which could just go for probes. He misses the Phoenixes, gets the probes on the other hand.
He dodges those fungals like a god. The micro of Avenge here is crazy. Yes, the hatch is being attacked, but look how he dodges them. He dodged 4 fungals in a row now.
Yeah, 4 fungals in a row here. Corruptor's really helping keeping him at bay, though, and he's killing so many Harvesters. He's down to 30 probes right now, and he didn't snipe the hatch. I can't believe he didn't get the hatch.
Colossus is up there and is starting to take down that hatch, but we have the Nexus already down, and finally a fungal hits, and now the army moves in. This might be the end for Avenge. He's 70 supply down. Losing the Phoenixes is such a blow, and look at the production of 11 additional Mutalisks are being built. Those Void Rays are just not in a position where they are fast enough to keep up with this.
No. Hatch is still taking some serious damage on the other hand. I mean, down to 28 probes and lost to Nexai. We'll lose the Colossus instantly there as well.
This is just a really bad spot for Avenge. Avenge got this tech switch in the Mutalisk completely bitch slapped him. And he was in no position where he could defend against it. He did a crazy good job. I mean, he did everything that he could, everything that was possible for him. But he never expected the Mutalisk to be there. And the momentum and all the position that Boom Boom gained, he didn't make a lot of mistakes after that. So the only thing that Avenge can hope for is like force a straight up fight.
Yeah. And, I mean, he's trying to do that, but the Mutas are just saying, nah, I'm good. I'll just trade. I mean, that's what Mutalists do best. Besides killing probes or making Colossus rip their hair out, break keyboards, the other thing is to trade. And so he's going to send the Lings to deal with the gates.
He's going for the base race now. He knows that's what he has to do. If he's base racing his opponent, he has a chance here. That's, well, not only a chance, then he's most likely going to win the game if he does it right. The Protoss players at the bottom left can always recall back, of course. He has still the Mothership Core.
He could actually try to go for the Fungal here.
Yeah, and he will.
And he gets 4.
That
itself is pretty much enough, yeah. 39 Mutas against 13 Void Rays and 7 Phoenixes.
Avenge should go to the base to the top. He needs to... I actually don't know what he needs to do. Like, he needs a miracle at this point. It's basically already too late for him.
He doesn't have more than 10 probes. The probes he does have are actually exposed. He's lost now 3 more of them, 4 more. And with no probes, how is he going to hide bases or buildings? He needs to at least be able to hide buildings, or he's not going to be able to win it. I think all of his probes are trapped.
There's just too much income. Look at the bank, 1,300 minerals, so much gas. We have still production. The drones are going all over the map, and all of the next are gone. And this is basically game since he cannot really...
He can't make any more probes.
That's the fungal of death right there. It kills all of the Phoenixes. GG! AZUBU! Boom Boom takes it. The tech switch into Mutalisks, unscouted by Avenge. Avenge up to this point in a position where I would have said, okay, he's going to win this game. But the tech switch that he never saw coming, it killed him. It just basically killed him.
I think that was the record for most Void Rays in a lost PvZ.
Yeah, probably.
Like ever.
He really wanted to have that afterburner upgrade. That would have won him the game, probably.
He wasn't prepared for the Mutalisk switch, and Boom Boom made the perfect choice to take hidden expansions while he was harassing. That way, not hidden expansions, but expansions that were far away, you know, the satellite bases. With those, it was basically impossible for Avenge to harass and at the same time deal with the harassment that he was dealing with the Mutas, because he only had like 3 Phoenixes, and then he was slowly getting into 6 and then slowly getting into 9, but it was against like 25 Mutas, and the Mutas just ignored. They have just a few Corruptors with them, Anion Pulse Crystals a little bit late.
He knew one thing, Boom Boom, that is. He knew he could never win a startup fight. He knew there was no way that he was going up against the army that Avenge had, even at the end of the game, and take that easily. So he always dodged, he always used the mobility that he had, and he played a perfect game after he switched.
Yeah. Well, this brings us actually to a tie score.
Yep.
Nobody really expecting things to start off, I think, this back and forth. We may be expecting a little bit different results, but things looking exciting here because we might actually have that ace match happen. We haven't had that yet in round 2. We only had one match on the other hand, but...
we're definitely going to see Symbol versus Bomber. This is a match that a lot of people were hoping to see today, and as they saw that both players would come out last for their team, I was, of course, not quite sure if we would really see that match. But the next is going to be a Zerg versus Zerg. So we have Curious going up against Ragnarok in game number 5 before we are heading into the Terran versus Zerg that so many people have been waiting for.
Yeah, Curious versus Ragnarok should be an interesting one. It's going to be a ZVZ, a matchup that Curious is actually quite good at.
Yep.
And he's experienced. He knows how to play the aggression. He knows how to hold. He knows how to play the late game. His mid game is actually pretty solid too. I'm just thinking about Curious ZVZs floating around in my head, and he knows how to play them.
Yeah, Curious definitely having good chances and going up against an opponent in the ZVZ, but we haven't seen too much of Ragnarok just in the recent past. When we see him come out, he looked always very solid. But right now, it's time for Curious once again to show us his mirror match skills here.
Yeah, and Ragnarok was one of the players that Coach Lee back in the TSL days was saying was going to be one of the best in the world. He said he had the most potential of anyone on the team. Turns out that Symbol ended up being the best, even though Coach Lee thought that was going to be the case. And Symbol was the best at that time, but he said he thought that Ragnarok had potential, and he did. Joined LGIM for a while. Now finds himself on AZUBU. And like I said, we just haven't seen all too much of this guy in recent times. There's a shot of him now. And in GSTL, he's 7-6. Keeps himself over 50. And he's 1-0 against Curious. Has not dropped a set.
I mean, the next two games, I actually still think we're going to go into, like, I somehow have a feeling we're going to go into an ace match. I might be completely wrong here, but I cannot predict who's going to win between Bomber and Symbol, to be honest. And this match is one of those where I say, like, well, I can see both players win. Curious is the one that is definitely more experienced. He's the one that probably a lot of people just from the name will say, okay, he's going to take that. But Ragnarok always had a promising future ahead of him. He didn't even have this breakout performance that you want to have as a player. But he's a player who's always on the edge of it, so he could take the game. In the best of 1, I can totally see Ragnarok win that. In the best of 3, I would probably say, like, okay, Curious is going to take this with the experience that he has. But in the best of 1 with a good build, maybe taking a shot there, I can see Ragnarok winning the match.
Yeah. You know, Ragnarok has, like you said, he's never had his breakout performance, but he has good games here and there. Every time you see Ragnarok play, you're like, well, that was a great game. This and this and this went wrong, but kid's got potential.
Yeah, you just have to make sure that he isn't trapped in that everlasting circle of having potential but never really fulfilling the hopes of what he could achieve there. So in general, in the matchup though, he has a 75% win ratio, winning against Curious, Violet and Mia in the Heart of the Swarm. And in the GSTL, as we saw already on the screen, he is 1-0 against Curious himself.
Yeah.
It was a game back in July.
It's been a while, but he's definitely good. Whirlwind, on the other hand, is her map. A very big map for ZVZ. Could see early pools here, but much more likely going to the mid-game. This is round 2 of GSTL Season 2 for 2013, cast by Calvin Wolf.